freezing in here, man.
I can't see your nipples.
Drink some more beer, you'll feel better. Beer here.
I'm Austin Heisch with Rahr & Sons Brewing. Come and brew it.
Hey, Austin.
What kind of beer was that?
Where's Stubby?
Welcome back to Come and Brew It Radio. Here's somebody.
Hi.
Wow.
Hi.
Pretty well thought out.
Yeah.
Really good
That's
intro here.
impressive. Ad-lib is not your talent, or what?
I don't have it in me tonight.
More of a
We're all
script
broken.
guy.
That's why you're sitting funny.
Yeah, so we were talking about summer brewing and
There's
you know,
Stubby.
ways to get the best out of summer brewing and whatnot. And I think, other than the general mechanics of that, we get back to the same thing, which is coming down to the good styles for what to brew in the summer. Beers that you're going to want to have turned around quickly that may or may not suffer from the temperature range that you can ferment them in. A lot of times it's blonde ales. Saisons are perfect for summer. I mean, if you think about it. But one of the main ones, and we had a request for this from one of our listeners before, was to talk about things like Berliner Weiss and Goza and whatnot. And that's a perfect thing to brew in the summer because you can quickly turn around a sour version of something
And it's just like,
using the temperature in your garage,
yeah, and it's just like your stomach acid. You're drinking over again.
Well, you might sell it better than that.
Oh, okay, my bad. It's like drinking bile.
I'm not
No,
sure that's better.
no, that's not better. No.
All right. Well, thank you all for listening. Good night.
Much
But yeah.
shorter second half.
The good thing about any of those styles, I mean, Berliner Weiss is traditionally not going to be a quick soured style. I think that's one thing that's Americans have taken it and they made a whole lot of variations out of it. Same with Goza. It's not necessarily going to be that way,
Right.
but they really lend themselves to that, and you see that in a lot of beers now.
Well, and I'm going to say this from somebody that's traveled Europe a lot. The sour beers over there are not ridiculously stupid sour like they are here.
Right.
I mean, they're just, you have a Goza from Leipzig. They're just, it's not even close to what we have here now. And I don't know if we're Americans, we're going to make everything crazier and stupider. And
That's what it is.
stuff. Yeah.
That's what it is. We're putting lift kits on our beer. Lift
Drop
kits
it
and
low
truck
so
nuts.
it drags a little bit.
Oh. I never put no nuts on my truck.
Yes.
I put them on before I arrived. They're hanging there right now.
The chrome ones.
Yeah.
Well, as long as they're hanging about a foot low, would be good.
They're dragging on the floor.
Well, when I think when it comes to the talking about doing Berliner Weiss and Goza and that kind of thing, what you're doing is you're taking advantage of something that's actually a drawback for most other styles of beer, which is the heat.
Yeah.
So normally you're trying to figure out how am I going to hold this wort at 100 degrees or so, or 95 degrees or whatever, for 24 hours while I let the lactic acid do its thing.
Lactic acid.
Excuse me, the lactobacillus do its thing and create lactic acid.
There you go.
And where you can then boil it and then make your quick soured beer. Normally, how are you going to hold it at that temperature? Well, now, for any of us in the southern half of the country, or on the West Coast or anything like that, just stick it in the garage.
Exactly. It's much, much warmer than it is outside in the garage after that. So, and that's, I mean, the cool thing about that is that it's really easy to do a quick sour, to take advantage of the heat when you have it, even in places that, I mean, what I'm finding, and like, I'd really like to reference for the best methodology and whatnot is to look up the Milk the Funk wiki to find out like the best, like up-to-date methodology on what's really going on with quick souring to get the best out of it. Because I've been using the general principle, and I think they still promote this, is to just use the like pitch a probiotic, the
Good Belly
probiotic, big pitch of that. Pour your wort on top of it, CO2 evacuated vessel that's nice and sanitized. I've been using carboys lately, glass carboys, and I fill them as full as I can, to make sure that I'm not getting any airspace in there. You can use buckets. I've used that. Nigel was using it successfully. for some of what we've done lately. But man, 2 days later, typically with a good, if you bought and that stuff's fresh when you get it, and I'll use most of a container, just overdoing it, and the mango or even the blueberry, what is it?
And there's a whole big debate on this Lactobacillus plantarum. So,
and
you can open a whole can of worms.
Yeah, and we're not looking at
guys.
that. We're not looking at that part right now. We're just looking that it works well, and I found that it works well at varying temperature ranges. Doesn't have to be 115 degrees.
So what
It'll
are
work
the
well at
temperature
90
ranges
something,
you've done well?
I've had it work well in the 90s.
Because
So-
I've had several of your beers with it, and I think they're fantastic. I think it really works.
And it
great.
still works within about 48 hours or so.
Okay.
So let me ask
you
you
know.
this. So it's a probiotic, so it makes stomach acid before you actually put it in your stomach.
No.
It's lactobacillus, and it's
No, it helps you
somewhat
poop.
soured, you know.
It helps you poop.
It
Well,
helps you poop.
lactobacillus is what they use to make yogurt. I mean, you eat this stuff.
It's
All the
beneficial
time.
for
Concept.
bacteria that's supposed to take host inside of your gut biome to better digest foods.
And make
Right.
cottage cheese in your poop.
It's Jamie Lee
Yes.
Curtis's favorite beer.
Nice. Wow, drawing far for that one.
Yeah.
Going real far.
What was that? What was the name of
Yeah,
that
what the
yogurt?
hell was that yogurt that she advertised? That
I can't even
I think that they
If
actually
you
had a
cut
court
them
order to
overnight, yeah.
stop saying that it helped you poop.
Oh, yeah, or helped your gut become regular or whatever. Oh, but just FYI for you listeners out there, I did remember what the name of that device was. It's called a Peltier. Just FYI.
Hayden Pelletier.
Yeah. Anyway. Yeah, that's it.
So I have a question though, Greg. When you're talking about just putting these, putting your wort out to sour in your garage, how far of a temperature spread can you have? What's detrimental? Or
I've found that it worked in the 90s. I'm not sure about going much
But
lower
like
than that,
so-
but all the way up to about 100. I usually, what we did was we basically we drew off our wort, we pasteurized it more or less. We even took it beyond that, got it up to boiling, and then chilled it down to about 120. You know, transferred it in the sanitized fermenters, and then what we transferred on top of the good belly, and then I just, Nigel had to travel with his, but I just moved mine over into the corner that I knew would be the warmest, not too far away from the car when it would drive in. So it would fluctuate, throughout that time
Some
frame
of
in
the
the
carbon
garage.
monoxide helps.
Yes. Right.
Well, a couple of weeks ago, it would have been somewhere between 110 and 115.
Right.
Yeah, it was
So-
probably at least up to 115 more than once in the garage, and I checked it, and I would go out there with a laser probe and check it, and it probably sat around 109 more often than not, and then would drop when it started getting cooler overnight. It would drop maybe into the upper 90s, that kind of thing. But I've had a success without even reaching into the lower hundreds, and it still was sour. Maybe it took an extra day, and that's
So it
something
does
to check.
take a little bit longer.
And I'm not checking any of this with a
Right.
pH meter. That's another thing to get into on another level, depending on where you want to take it. But
So how
you can
are you
smell it,
checking
and you can
You
smell
just
it and
take
see it,
taste.
The tongue
and I'll
meter.
taste it.
Yeah.
I'll check it with taste. But typically, I know that 2 days in, 2.5 days is plenty.
Well,
more
Greg,
often than not.
maybe,
I've had
maybe
no
back up a little
failures with that.
bit. Maybe back up just a hair with the whole process and kind of explain to the listeners out there exactly what we're doing is you're making a sour beer quickly, but without actually you actually do the fermentation after the fact.
After
correct?
the fact, yeah.
So maybe kind of walk beginners that don't know exactly what we're talking about, exactly what you're trying to accomplish. You're basically trying to make a sour beer really quickly.
You're
without
adding
having-
the acid.
Yeah, Greg, Jesus.
You're adding the acid to the wort before you boil it.
Right.
And then when you boil it, you're killing off all the bacteria that's in it so that it then won't affect any of the fermentation
really there's
vessels or whatever
two
that you're
boils.
putting
It's
in.
a
yeah.
two-stage. It's a
It's
two-stage
two.
brew day.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a fast brew day in terms of mashing, transferring, bringing it up to a boil, and chilling it down and transferring again, versus going for your next hour long or whatever. Because
It's important to stop real quick at what you're saying about mashing, transferring, and bringing it up to a boil, because the grain that you buy or the malt that we buy has lactobacillus on it already, but there's a lot of other things too. That is not a good way to sour beer with just the lacto that occurs naturally on grain.
You're going to have more
Right.
problems.
You want to
typically,
kill off what's on there and then purposely put in some lactose.
Well,
So
maybe-
that's why
maybe-
you're doing that,
yes.
right?
Yeah.
You're pasteurizing, it to create
pasteurizing
a
it.
clean environment for them to work
Yeah.
with. You know.
Right. So maybe for the listeners, maybe the easiest way is just kind of start from the beginning.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
can
Take
go-
us through the whole process,
process, yeah.
step by step.
I just did.
You're
Did
on.
you?
So first you
No,
wake
basically,
up,
Well,
you make some
I wake
coffee.
up. Early on, I started talking to Nigel
wife
across
yells at you.
text
You're
about
like,
what the
"Shut
hell
up,
we wanted to
bitch."
do for the Riverside Shootout,
You
and then we
scratched your
started.
balls at one point,
Yeah.
I thought. Yeah.
God,
That was later in the day.
you drank coffee, you took a dump. Okay, now get to the brewing.
Well, you're going to mash like you normally would. You're going to have a recipe developed toward what style you're thinking of. When we developed this recipe, we developed something that was geared towards a Berliner Weiss, almost a 50-50 grist of Pilsner and wheat, just knowing that that's typically the style range that you're looking for. We knew that we would aim at a very low hopping rate because it doesn't need it, and that's traditional. Though at the point that we're doing this, we don't have to worry about the hops because the reason it's traditionally low hopping is that it would influence the productivity of the lactobacillus had you pitched it after boil. But we're aiming everything at that. We mash low because we're looking for dryness. We know that we're going to add some things to this beer, so that also can affect what you're looking for. But we're aiming at a Berliner Weiss profile.
Which is basically just like a wheat beer.
It's 50-50-ish.
50-50
Pilsner wheat.
like Pilsner and
Yeah.
wheat malt, but
Very
in a
basic.
low, like 4.5%.
Yeah, lower
ABV.
ABV range. 3.5, I think, to, let's see, I have it on here.
To 5 something, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, 2.8 to 3.8. So really like 4% typically. But the one we were doing was going to be bigger because that's what we're aiming at for
And no hops,
competition.
That's what we do.
No, not really any, typically. It's the
And
same as a
the
lot of
reason for
sours
that
is
is
you're
that
waving it over the
sourness-
kettle. you
Yeah.
know.
The sourness kind of balances out the sweetness the same way bitterness
Yes,
from hops
exactly.
would. So you don't need as much bitterness because you're already balancing out
Right.
that sweetness with some acidity.
And this-
and
this
you
applies
put
to
hops in
goza-
and it kills out the lactobacillus.
Exactly.
Does it really?
Yeah.
It doesn't take
Yeah.
that many IBUs
Yeah.
to stop it. So it's
What
like
is it, 10?
Well, but in this case, you're
10,
boiling
11, I
after
think.
the lactobacillus, so
Correct.
that wouldn't really matter. But
Right.
in terms of balancing the
Traditionally.
beer out,
Yeah, so don't mash
Traditionally.
hop before you do a kettle sour.
right?
So
yes, yeah.
As
yeah.
I understand this, you're doing all the normal steps, and then a normal boil with the hops. Or
What you're
without
gonna
the
we're gonna
hops
mash.
before.
We're gonna transfer
Okay.
to volume is what we're looking for,
Mhm.
and then knowing also depending on what you're planning on boiling after the fact.
Okay.
Because when after the fact, knowing what we already did and that we have well modified malts, we're not necessarily boiling for an hour because we don't have to. We're not adding bittering
You're
hops
not
or anything
needing
like
to
that.
isommerize, yeah,
Right. So
that much.
we're looking maybe 30 minutes of a boil typically if you're going to add
Just
any
enough to kill off
finings. Like for what we did, we were going to add lactose. Totally not traditional. It's something else that we're aiming at for a specific flavor profile. So it's going to be more than 20 minutes because that's usually when you're going to add lactose, right? So with this one, knowing all those things, we got the volume that we needed for, say, a 20-minute, 30-minute boil and how much is going to boil off in that range. We took it up to boiling, just enough to get it all pasteurized. Immediately, as soon as it hit it, we were dropping it back down to about 120. I just did it with an immersion chiller. And then we did it on 2 different systems. I did it on my kettles. Nigel did it in his cooler. And then we went from there to transferring in. Like all we did was sanitize our containers. Nigel did a plastic bucket that he's used for sours, and we CO2 evacuated it just for precaution. It was already sanitized, and then we just transferred in there at that higher temperature range on top of what was already in there to make sure that it was nice and well blended. We'd left it out just in case to start warming up from being fridge temp, the container of the Good Belly, and then set it aside. Like mine didn't have airlocks on it, anything like that. I just put foil over it. I wrapped it up tight because nothing's crawling up in there.
Yeah.
For where I'm talking about, and
Yeah.
I set it aside and waited. And then you wait and make sure, like the one thing you want to watch for, and this usually may occur more often with the bucket method, would be mold or whatever. You got to watch for something like that for mycotoxins. And
Well, question. did you guys use any like? I've seen people like put cellophane and stuff over the top.
That was the bucket version.
Yeah, for the bucket
Yeah.
method, we cover it in blow off any CO2, blow off with CO2 to get rid of any oxygen.
Then you laid it right on the top of the
Right
wort.
on.
Lay some saran wrap
Sanitized.
yeah,
Yeah.
sanitized
Sanitized.
saran wrap over the top of the.
Just pee on it.
Yeah.
Well, you could do that too.
No,
That
wait,
didn't work
it-
last
no,
time.
it's
Stu-
done-
no, Stubby said on top of the wort or on top of the.
Yeah,
Yes.
on top of the
On
wort.
top of the word.
So you put it
On-
actually
on
on
it, yeah.
the wort.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it leaves no room for any oxygen to get in, basically.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the reason you don't want any oxygen is because
Well, that's not
Taste it.
quite as it's,
no,
well, no,
Yeah.
it's
it causes vomit.
well, that's not quite the same. The last I've been reading about that, it's just not quite the same as that anymore. That's the thing why I was saying go to the
Okay.
Milk the Funk to be
Okay.
clear about exactly the reasons behind stuff because
Yeah,
they,
the
they
last
really
time we
dug up
got
some
into
things.
this, we stepped on our dick.
Isovaleric acid. No,
Yeah, I think that's what you're
no,
talking
that's
about.
cheese. Cheese is isovaleric.
It would be
acid.
cheesy, but nasty.
Right.
What you're
Right.
looking for here
Well,
more
a
than
lot of
anything is
times
that
I've seen
no
people
mold.
Man, I
that
got
do that.
cheese.
A lot of people that the flaws that I see in this particular method is like a vomit.
Right.
I mean, it smells just like freaking vomit.
And I've had some of that on some of the earlier trials that we did.
Okay,
I may have
It's-
some of that later on tonight.
it is bad.
Yeah,
There's something
Yeah.
else happening in that, and I can't
James
remember what it is
That's
right
not
now.
the
but
oxygen exposure.
that's part of it, but there's something else happening within
Okay.
that, and that's really something there to say. Butyric acid.
that's what.
That's what.
Butyric
That's,
acid,
yeah. What I found, what I started to do is put. I mean, again, it's glass, but I started to put my glass carboys to use for this, and I would just fill them all the way up to the neck with the wort, knowing what I had and available, and then I would just seal them up. And I mean, you can smell it once it starts kicking in. You can smell that lactic
Because
sourness in there. and-
lactobacillus doesn't produce a lot of CO2, correct?
No,
Right.
no,
Right.
no. So there are variations on the fermentive abilities of the
Mhm.
lacto, but the plantarum, I didn't notice a whole lot of activity that was really obvious.
So no
First
Krause
batch,
and no
No, first batch.
a lot of bubbling, none of that crap.
None of that. You might see a little bit of something, but
Like a slime layer on the top.
even that I didn't notice
you
as
don't
much.
even-
Nigel, you might have had some with your.
I had
You get a pellicle at all?
no. I had about 4 spots of mold sitting on top of the saran wrap. Nothing in the wort, sitting on top of the saran wrap.
And that's what I don't like
but
about the bucket.
They were pinhead size spots. I
Yeah.
mean, it was nothing like a big infection. or
So it
anything
wasn't
like that.
in the beer.
It wasn't
just
in the
on-
beer. It was sitting on top of the saran wrap.
And I told him before when we did one of our trial batches that when he had it in there, don't use it because you never know about what kind of mycotoxin might be in there, and that you can't really
Right.
boil that off because it could still poison you. You know,
Right.
so
we've done this.
Mm.
What? 3 or
that's
4
why I'm aiming at the glass and the lack of headspace and anything getting in there to see. And I would have looked for it there because you're really going to see it in that point.
Right.
But there are better ways to do it. I guarantee you. Again, milk the funk plug. But what worked about this is how quickly and easily something like that to get done, because then you've now created a sour base. Had I left it for another day, it'd be more sour. 2 days seems to be the sweet spot. The further you go, the more, and it's exponential, so it's going to get worse. They're like more and more sour, and
Right.
then immediately I take it, I pour them in, and we boil,
Yeah.
like we normally would with that, and
Yeah,
then
see,
we
I
go
always
from there with a clean fermentation profile, like
always
Kolsch
thought-
2 was what we used.
I always thought the Grainfather would be a great thing for this, but I was always scared to.
Yeah, just
actually
leave it on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been scared to do that
So-
too.
so
So
what
I
I
haven't
did-
done it yet.
What I did, we've done it 2 or 3, 4 times. For the start off, I used my fermentation chamber and set it at 100 degrees. Left it in there for about 60 hours, 2.5 days, and that seems to be about the optimal number. This last time I left it in the garage because again we had that hot weather.
The wave.
But we first started this in sort of March, April time.
Yeah.
And so we didn't have the necessary heat, so I put it in my firm chamber at 100 degrees. For 60 hours. The Grainfather would be a way to do it. It's just going to eat your electricity.
Well,
Yeah.
and I was just thinking
That
about,
wouldn't take
Plus,
much
there's
electricity, though, I
airspace
don't
and
I mean, the only thing I was thinking about all the rubber parts getting.
Whether it's
Right.
I mean, you're going to be boiling it, but still, I don't know.
Man, it was
It's one of
so
those
easy
things,
to just
you
like
know.
take glass and or not throw away, but a plastic carboy, something that you know is you can fill up. That
Right.
you're gonna have lack of exposure, and I mean, I really blasted it with CO2 to fill it up in
You
advance.
could use
It
one of
was-
those carboy heaters too with a
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
temperature controller too.
Yeah, you could.
there's a lot of easy ways. This is just using summer heat
Right.
to get the best out of it. Because I mean,
You use a propane torch.
Yeah. You hook
you're
your
gonna stand out there next to
you
it.
hook,
Well, no,
you hook
you
a
just-
copper
you
coil
just
up to
lock
your
it on.
tailpipe and just swirl it around your.
You lock the torch on,
Fermenter.
you set it next to the carboy, the glass carboy, with the torch hitting against the glass, and then you just leave it for a couple days.
Yeah.
There you go. Just leave it.
I mean,
But I
big
think-
torch camp. It's going to run out of fuel.
The key to this is that
Get a sheet of aluminum foil and you hang it there.
the basics of
Hook up a
of
car battery to
Just
it.
like freebasing.
quick souring is not something to be scared of. It's something to be trial and error, and don't know that it may not work out. If you find mold, don't use it.
Well, the cool thing I like about it, one of the difficult things about getting into sour beers in traditional souring methods, the problem is that it takes a long time to figure out if
Right.
you did it right. And when you do it wrong, you've sacrificed a lot of time and effort and that kind of thing. With quick souring, you're right. You're going to do it wrong a couple times, but you're going to find out right away.
Well,
Yes,
and also
exactly.
the good thing about this too is most of the time it's a very inexpensive recipe.
Yes,
Yes.
exactly. That's
Yeah,
the other
yeah.
part of it. You're not looking for. You're usually basing this on a Berliner Weiss, a Goza, or maybe just a golden ale of some form. Like a petite golden
You're
ale
not
is a lot
putting
of
You're not putting a shit ton of hops in it. You're
No.
not putting. Not a lot of grain.
and like a
Ounce of batch.
package of Good Belly does not cost that much.
Right.
And you can use half of it, you can use all of it, whatever. And I've found that the flavor doesn't transfer whenever you get to the last point. It's the Martin House key lime.
Key lime, yeah.
That's what that is.
It's really freaking
Yeah.
tasty.
This is an absolutely phenomenal beer.
That was
I
the.
mean,
This is the key to really. This is the point of this conversation more than anything is that these styles, the traditional styles on their own, are fantastic. And you guys, how many of you tried the Goza that I had here? Most y'all seem to think
it
it
was
tastes
great. Yeah,
That's the same concept. That's just coriander and sea salt, but that was quick soured. Typically, again, you're going to, like the traditional method, it's going to take time for the lactobacillus to do their job for something like that before it's finished. And here, we're just moving it straight forward, and then we're creating a product that's a good base for other things. We knew that in the first place, but you don't
I
even
gotta
have to
tell
do
you
that.
This key lime one, that may be the single most impressive beer I've ever drank before, in my opinion. No,
For a quick sour?
I am dead serious about that.
Holy shit!
because
You just said that about that Imperial Stout tonight too.
no, I did not say that.
He's
No,
got
I
all
did
the
not.
compliments.
No. This tastes exactly like a piece of key lime pie. It's amazing.
Well,
How you
that's-
get the crust and the lime filling and everything. And not only does it taste like
Yeah,
that,
that's spot
it's
on.
still really drinkable. Like if I had a keg of this at home, I would drink
crushable.
it every night.
Well, we got third place.
Jesus.
We got third place, right? So,
Yeah, we did.
yeah,
This is
competition.
a
so.
really impressive beer.
This
I am
is
just absolutely
like-
blown away by it.
This
Well,
is
we knew
pie
what they
in a
did there,
glass.
and that
It
was
is
part
pie
of
in a
our
glass.
process too. Is they like to make sour beers, and it's one of those things that quick sours. And we thought, let's take advantage of this concept. I got another bottle in here too.
Okay,
if you
that's what
need it.
she's looking for.
Yeah, we're gonna need another bottle of that.
That's
Yeah.
$20. So
And who also had made a key lime? Was that Tallgrass?
there's
Yeah, there's several.
a few out there.
Yeah.
And I got to tell you, I didn't like that one, but I like this one.
Well, thanks. And again, it was real easy to make this. It was more about the backside of this process than it was about the souring or anything else. I mean, we just wanted to not be too sour to start because I know I'm going to add lime juice to this, which is definitely going to add some tartness.
That is an absolutely
Now, was
perfect beer.
But we balanced it out.
Is it key limes?
Yeah, I use key lime
lime
juice.
juice,
for that
yeah.
one, yeah.
because it has a really kind of
You even get that
distinctive
bitterness.
Key limey.
Yeah, it was very key limey. Yeah,
You get the bitterness from the lime.
Yeah, it has lime peel in it. That's one thing we added to the boil. We used what hops? did
Some
we,
lactose is in there as well.
we
right?
use lactose to
Yeah,
kind of even
lactose
out and
for
give that
the-
creamy sense.
We
Yeah.
use
Take some of
Mandarina Bavaria.
Mandarina
hops.
Bavaria to add the sort of citrus character
Brilliant.
as far as that, and
Well,
like an ounce at 5 minutes.
The primary
Um,
job for that is to kill the lacto, right?
Well, not even that. It's just to add.
it's
To
not
me, that
bottle
was just
condition.
for the no, that was from the keg. That's what we turned in. This is the batch that we turned in. And then Mandarina Bavaria to add maybe a hint of the more citrus orange kind of character and aroma on top of what we were going to add later. And then, like, for this, actually, this was the one with vanilla extract and lime juice. We didn't have any vanilla beans, so I just worked on a good balance for the
Just
extract.
a little touch of vanilla
Yeah,
is so
just a touch.
perfect.
Did you take that from the last Cap and Hair meeting?
No, this was before all
No.
that.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
we'd already worked on this one. I also have variations on it where I have just the lime. I have lemon and orange peel and vanilla, and I have just lemon and orange peel in here
Right.
too. Now those are bottled.
I'm going to take this beer out behind the middle school and get it pregnant.
We'll see what you feel about those too. But
No, that's apple pie. It's warm apple pie.
the key here again is like there are 3 easy styles to work from. I mean, one is not really a style; it's just the concept of golden ale, which are kind of like the other two, and then you work from there. And man, you can make so many variations of this, like the Florida Vice thing. Did you try any of that when you went to Florida on your vacation, Stubby?
No.
There was no. Did you see them?
No.
Really? I'm
He
surprised.
was buying $9 Yinglings, dude.
Yeah. He was taking it from Mickey.
Yes.
Can you feel that? Oh, yeah. Oh, that's Pluto. Take it, bitch.
Yeah, exactly the way I felt like. Now we're gonna get fucking C&D letter from Disney now.
Now, careful, bottle conditions.
Man. Anyway,
But it's such a blank canvas. It's such a great canvas to
Oh, I thought you were
to throw any sort of beer or any sort of spices or anything into. And
yeah, and I don't. Did you guys ever try the tartaric acid?
not
in
yet.
there.
Not yet, but we have some more now that we can't serve. That we're gonna. We made another 15 gallons
I
before
think-
that stuff
I thi-
happened with the TABC. Be careful
I
with
think
this
it would be
because it's
kinda
bottle
curious.
conditions.
I'd
Nope.
be really curious to see what that would add
What
to
does
it.
tartaric acid do?
Cream of tartar?
It makes it creamy and tartary.
It's great for dipping your fried catfish in it.
right?
So basically, the best way I can explain the flavor of cream of tartar is,
I mean, is that literally what we're talking about?
yeah. It is. Have you ever, when you were a kid, you had what's called a creamsicle or a dreamsicle?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of the flavor.
Creamy and
you get.
orange.
Yeah, kind of orangish.
All right,
I don't
bring-
want to.
cream.
I don't want to slam. I'm enjoying this so much.
All right, bring your cups.
But I thought just a hint
Bring
of
cups.
that. I
Bring
thought a hint
cups.
of that might actually give it a little more of that creaminess feel, that you would have like from the actual cake or whatever.
I wouldn't change a single thing about this.
Yeah, I know you wouldn't.
It-
You've already.
It's so.
Impregnated it.
It's so perfect. What I mean,
I don't like key lime pie, so
so you want to change it so it doesn't taste like key lime pie? Yeah.
It's okay.
Just kidding.
We
I'm
know
just
plenty
kidding.
of people who aren't American around here.
Wow.
I didn't grow up in Florida.
Okay, the one I'm pouring now is just the lime version.
What gets me about this, I think, what makes it so perfect is the back end of the flavor
juice
that
or
tastes like
anything.
the graham cracker crust.
And that
which
was
I think comes from the vanilla a little bit.
a little bit, yeah. And it all blends into one general concept. This is for Stubby.
He doesn't want it.
Yeah, he's
Now
not
what-
gonna like it anyway.
I'm sorry, I might have
drinking it, ain't I?
I might have missed that while I was getting served, but the graham cracker crust flavor, what
Vanilla.
was that from the vanilla?
It's a bit of vanilla, but it was also our use of the honey,
Honey
biscuit.
biscuit.
from
right.
Swan.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now this next batch that we did, we made.
Not
What do
the
we do?
vagina.
We did 3 parts biscuit to 1 part honey, right?
Yeah, to actual honey malt Gambrinus honey with 3 parts biscuit malt, just to see if maybe it would work out. Or no,
We couldn't get honey
not the
biscuit.
regular biscuit.
Well, it's Swan biscuit. So we couldn't get honey biscuit.
Can't remember what the new one was.
So
it,
we
it
used
tastes really
Swan
similar.
biscuit and Gambrinus honey.
Yeah. So
See, the
this
second one here is
second
much
one is
more of just
only
a
lime peel.
straightforward
It's
lime.
only the soured version with lime peel and
Okay.
whatnot. So like, there's no vanilla, there's no key lime. But this picture, this is where the key lime started before you added the vanilla and the rest. So that's
This reminds me of a margarita.
yeah,
Yeah.
doesn't it?
Yeah.
Mhm.
So that's another thing. Again, here you go. Look where you're going with this, and everything that we're trying so far is exactly about summer.
Yeah, if you add a little bit of salt, a little more
Well,
salt
yeah.
to this base, it would be.
Well, he
very-
has
Closer
made
to the
a
gozer.
margarita.
Gozer. Yeah.
That had the tequila soaked.
Yeah, and that one wasn't a
oak
quick
and-
sour. That was just using acidulated.
No, this one tastes more straight up like a margarita.
Yeah.
Just
If
like
you
a
actually
alarm.
put this
Mhm.
into a margarita machine,
Mhm.
it would be perfect.
Yeah.
Actually, because it would have that consistency,
Freeze
that
it.
little crunch of the ice in it. It would
doesn't
be
need a
perfect
little
flavor.
salt and whatnot.
It'd be great just laying around in a pool
Yeah.
drinking that.
But it's
It also needs a little tequila.
and it's real easy to
But you
have.
did that. You
little.
did that with that. What was it? A margarita beer you had? You did the tequila with wood.
Yeah, I did
Was
a
it
real
oak?
quick on a oak chips
Tequila, right?
tequila, and then I just dumped it all in for like a week. I set it on a week and then pulled it out, and it was
That was a damn good beer. I like that.
What happened?
Yeah,
to
that was real good. I
wasn't
enjoyed that.
bad, right?
You
was a
said
while
you were gonna
ago.
make it again.
That
and you
tequila
I
didn't.
know I need to
flavor-
make. Well, we've been so busy with this.
That tequila flavor is really tough to work with because it's in and of itself is not a real good flavor.
Right.
You got to blend it in just right.
Depends
And that
on
was
what-
a really nicely done beer. I
Depends
like
on what
that a lot.
tequila you're drinking.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
some of it so good now you can drink on the rocks.
Well, that's
dude.
what I'm saying. There's a reason tequila is done as shots.
No, I'm
No,
not, I'm
what
not
Stubby?
kidding you.
Yeah, what Stubby's saying is true.
I can count the amount of times I've seen someone sip tequila on one hand
It's
with
'cause
no
you're
fingers.
Not, you're not drinking the right tequila, man.
I
Yeah,
can
it's
say
true.
that
Dude,
as
I'm
well
not
because
kidding you.
I've been
I-
the only person doing it.
I'm not kidding you, man. There's tequila out there now that is
I-
so.
I
like-
believe
that
you.
you would enjoy.
But it's
just
the
sipping
exception
on.
and not the rule.
Mm.
Yeah. And we're not talking about Jose.
No, we're not.
No, you're right, man. This,
Salsa.
the good tequila. Shit.
Bring
See?
cups if you want beer.
Yeah, there comes another C&D
The only
letter.
time I buy Jose is if I'm putting it into a margarita
Salsa
machine
tastes
for my
like
family.
tequila someone already drank and then pooped back up.
Ah,
I mean, that's how
butyric,
tequila's
huh?
supposed to taste.
I did
right?
get some of
kettle
that
soured.
with the salsa with that was aged in whiskey barrels, bourbon barrels.
I
That
bet it
was
was still horrible.
it was weird.
Just don't
Oh,
shake
wait a minute.
this
Did
and
we
we'll
have
try
that
it.
at your house the other night? That actually was okay.
It was
Yeah.
weird as hell.
It was
though.
real weird, but it wasn't bad.
Right.
What's this third iteration,
Sounds kind
Greg?
of like the
Okay, this
Tomcat
is the
gins.
lemon orange, lemon and orange peel version.
Word
is what
of
this one is.
mine.
You didn't send a glass down.
Okay, be careful pouring this. It's
You
got
gotta
a lot
drink
of
faster
sediment
here,
in the
Stubby.
bottom, so just
Oh,
watch
man,
the sediment.
It's hard for me to drink battery acid. I'm just saying.
Well, you just got to shoot it.
This
just
is
like the
pretty
bad
mild
tequila.
stuff.
Such a
Oh yeah, this is
whiner.
easy going.
We haven't gotten the distill
We didn't.
yet.
We didn't get to that.
Jesus
yeah,
Christ,
that
yeah.
upper level of. And see, that's another thing. If that's what you want, then a lot of times you're just with a pH meter. You're going to be able to watch it closely without
Right.
being worried about anything.
That's one of the nice things I think about what y'all have done here. I mean, Nigel's
we went rough. on
Nigel's
this,
brought
so-
in a bunch of Berliner Weissels before that I really liked with different fruits that we had. What was that? A cherry
That's
one? We
cherry,
had
that's
tonight?
all
Oh,
sweet cherry.
delicious.
That cherry one was awesome.
That was what
the,
you did.
Great.
The
Right.
sour
Yeah.
in it is there. You can taste it, but it's not overwhelming. It's very drinkable. It's really nice.
Well,
It's right at the level that I like it.
full transparency on that. I had to dose that after the fact with
With some lactic, yeah.
because it didn't sour.
Dun dun dun.
I think I underpitched a good belly.
Yeah.
So it didn't quite sour enough. So I
You're probably better
I had to
off
dose it
coming in
afterwards.
under than over.
right.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and that's something that I wouldn't. I've had people do that just put a lot of lactic acid in it, and it just doesn't work the same.
No, you could put a little bit and touch it up, but
Right.
you're right. If you have to put a lot, it's not going to work.
Yeah. I just had to say just dose that just to where it is. You know.
Right. Like I told Brandon a few years ago to
Mm-hmm.
put a little lactic acid
Right.
in his saison.
You got a first
Yeah.
place with that.
It's awesome.
That was my rye saison. I got a
And,
first
and I
place.
mean, it's not. You couldn't even taste it or pick it out necessarily.
It just puts a little,
just a little pop.
touch
Yeah.
on it. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Honestly, the little bit of lactic acid we put on the barbecue blonde that we did at your place was really great.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That was a nice beer. I
It
enjoyed
was.
that one.
Well, it really makes it pop or something to make it refreshing. So I think that's a
well, and
that's
that's
a
kind
big
of the
part
thing.
of that.
The point that I was getting at earlier
Light body
is
and
like
refreshing.
a lot of the gozes that you have over in Germany from the actual place that started it
From
or
the river?
Yeah. They're not. I wouldn't say they're sour.
They're just tart.
They're tart.
Mhm.
Very refreshing, effervescent. I mean, they're not like harsh sour. I mean, they're not in your freaking face. As a matter of fact, I think you could accomplish something very similar to with acidulated malt.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
I
what I
don't
did
think-
with that margarita beer that
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Do they have a high mineral content? Like any?
Yes.
So, does it taste
Y'all could turn
salty?
the freaking air conditioner up.
It is freezing in here, dude.
You should be sitting underneath it.
Oh yeah, you're in the cold seat
Yeah.
over there, huh? Yeah.
Yeah, but he's
I just
used
wanted to see all
being
you-
a more even temperature range.
No, I'm used
We're
to
trying to form ice crystals in this margarita
I'm used to
glass.
74 degrees or 72
We had the
degrees on my
Pink Boot
AC.
Society in here the other day.
The Pink Boob Society.
The pink
pink
what?
boots. Yeah.
Society, yeah.
Pink boobs.
Yeah.
Boots.
Boobles.
Boots.
I'm
Oh.
gonna leave this conversation alone.
I just
said it's 69.
No, that's
I just misheard.
Miss her. Yeah, that's his project.
That's
The boobles.
That's
Yeah, that's
No.
mine. But what's the pink,
Pink Boots is the
The Pink
females
Boot Society
Brewer
is
Society.
the
Brewers, yeah.
brewer club for
Oh,
women in the
the
brewing industry.
Pink boots.
And you know, women
Yeah.
don't
God, I
like.
wish
They're
you guys
always
would
they're always
speak
hot,
English.
right? No, they're
Right.
always cold.
They're always cold,
Yeah,
yeah.
shit.
Yes.
I screwed that up.
Yeah, you did. It was backwards.
You come in from wearing summer wear, and they come in here and go, what the hell?
Yeah. Anyhow.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving back to where we were.
Were the
Yeah.
styles. Yeah, so
yeah, and I mean, I think a lot of times that one of the things that we do here a lot is we just kind of drink beer and sample it, rather than explaining to the audience out there of how we arrived to these particular beers that we were drinking. So you know, I mean, like for example, you were talking about your cherry one earlier. You know, what did you use for your cherries? What did you know, how did you introduce that? Did you do it before the boil, after the boil, during fermentation, after fermentation? And you know what I mean? I think these are all keys and tips that, you know, the audience out there really
Tell us how
wants
you
to
lost
know.
your
yeah. That
cherry,
the guy
Nigel.
in this booth wants to know.
So, as with fruit additions, all the fruit additions that I've ever done, it's all gone in the secondary. And I used frozen sweet dark cherries.
Okay.
Basically took them out of the freezer, spritzed them down with Star San. Based on the flamming, already killed most of the bad stuff
Right.
that was going to be on them anyway. So, like I say, took them out of the freezer, opened the pack, spritzed them with Star San, put them into the carboy, and transferred the beer over the top of them.
Okay.
And
Now, when you say spritzed with Star Sand, do you just literally just kind of
Squirty
and there you go?
squirty bottle with of Star San, and just
Treat him like a bad kitty.
that's right.
but it's not necessary to kind of like really get a soak on it or anything.
No,
it's just
I didn't.
you're just
I'm
like
retarded.
freshening it up like you're about to
Yeah,
throw a shirt in the
that's- yeah.
dryer.
It
right?
might actually be better to just spritz them with vodka or something.
Well, that's possible too. Yeah, yeah. I mean that.
This one's definitely got a little bit more of a
I like the-
sweet and tart
I
together.
like the
with
vodka angle.
And so then I think with this one
soak
because
'em in
I
vodka.
did two
Tequila.
batches.
Drink a bunch of vodka.
Tequila.
I did a 6
Yeah, you did that
gallon
last night, didn't
and
you?
a 3 gallon
Yes.
batch of this, and I'm trying to think. I think it was 2 pound of unsweetened cherries on the big patch and on the big batch, and a pound on the small batch.
Mm.
So it wasn't
I
overly
think-
excessive.
Which
The
one
cherry
was
Comes
came out
through really
nicely.
nicely. Yeah, very nice.
you guys just got poured the lemon peel, orange peel, and vanilla version. The first one, the last one was a lemon and orange peel only. And
Yeah.
speaking of all the vodka, these rough test batches, we didn't add the lemon peel and whatnot into the boil. It came after the fact, and mine were soaked in vodka to do it, and then I just dumped the whole damn thing in.
So on this one here, I think
Word.
Tincture plus.
this one
Yeah,
is the
God
God
Tincture
bless you,
plus.
sir.
this is the one you just poured us, right?
yeah, I think so. You had a lemon orange and then
But-
a lemon
yeah.
orange vanilla.
You got to drink
Okay.
faster, dude. You
Th-
got too
this-
many building up over
This
there.
one here, it's a little cidery to me. It tastes like cider a little bit.
Which one is
It
that?
could
one?
be. I mean, these were all
That
real
first
small
one?
batches too. What I did was break
Or
out
this one here.
one 5 gallon
Not the
batch
last one.
to, or
I'm confused.
yeah, it
This
was a
is the
5 gallon
cherry one.
batch to what? You got it.
Which one was the last one? Oh, I
The
got
lemon orange vanilla.
It. I got it.
Yeah, you got
Okay.
it.
That one's the cloudy one, right?
Probably.
Yeah.
There, basically, what we did on our first sample try to find out where we wanted to go is he went one direction, I went another, and he went with the fruit, and I went with the lemon peel, orange peel version, or the the lime or lime vanilla, and where to see where we wanted to go with that and what would work the best. And then I did it all with just by dousing it in vodka and then adding
Right.
it, knowing that we would want to add it to the boil.
Right.
So
And whatever happened, I mean, you came up with great beers this time, but when you and I did the Riverside Shootout, we turned out something that they still bitch about.
There may be a common factor there.
We tried to make a lime chili IPA, and it didn't work
I'd
out.
bet you about
yeah,
that too.
no, I didn't. Now the IPA base was fucking awesome,
Yeah,
dude.
it was great.
It was great,
Yeah,
but
we messed it up with limes and chilies.
it was so
That's easy
full
to do.
of
man.
chilies.
It's
It was
tough to
hot.
chili
get-
peppers.
That's why one of the reasons I gush over that key lime one so much is it's difficult to get that balance exactly right.
Right.
It's difficult to get the balance good,
Mm-hmm.
Right.
but to get it great like that, that's really
Well, and
impressive.
that's one of the things, man. I don't know if I've said this on the podcast or not, but man, I cannot drink enough of this beer. I absolutely love it. I'm not a fruit beer guy at all.
the paletta.
The Paletta de
Yeah.
Mango from RAR right now,
that
dude.
beer is so damn good.
and it's mangoes and it just has just a hint of heat.
Chili peppers, yeah.
It's just a delicate heat, man, and it is perfect.
It's perfect. Yeah.
I don't know how they do that because that's
Magic.
That's the one Stubby
I'm-
wants to take out
I'm just
back.
going
in
to
a-
blame you for
relation
that
to-
chili lime beer not working. Simply because I brewed with Greg twice now in this competition. We did our coconut or our brown ale, imperial brown ale on coconut, rum soaked coconut.
Right.
No, coconut soaked
Do you
rum. Whatever
know?
it may be.
Coconut soaked rum, yes.
Yeah, I mean it was a complicated beer. That was last year, and that was
I
a
do
great
complicated
beer.
We did
a
a thing
lot.
and a thing, and it was a thing.
And then
We
this year-
distilled coconuts.
This year we did the key lime, and it was
maybe-
a great beer. And I just stood back and watched Greg do his stuff.
Oh, I was
and
going to
so-
say maybe it's just you.
No, I just stood back and didn't interfere.
No, actually, I was probably the one that effed up the chili one. We discussed it, but I'm the one that put it into application with the peppers and whatnot.
Peppers
soaking
are
them
hard,
and
man. They're difficult to.
Well, we had
We
3 or 4
put too
different
much in.
peppers.
It would have been good, but I think it was just like half of what went in is what should have went in.
Yeah.
you know?
Well, and we
It's
Greg,
like putting
what
2
was last year's
habaneros in a
beer?
Randall.
Yeah, that was painful. I don't want to ever talk about that again.
actually, after the fact, we used like the chilies and stuff. It might have actually been better for us to use just a hint of habanero, just to give it a little hint of heat. But that's a hard thing to do. Because,
Are you still talking about that IPA?
Yeah,
Oh.
it's hard. It's hard to add heat because
It is.
It is.
It's hard to measure that because you guys have all had a jalapeno.
They're inconsistent too.
And they
they're
were
all over
dried
the place.
peppers.
One
and,
of
you
them
know.
will light your ass on fire, and the next one tastes like a
what
bell
was-
pepper.
And I had
That's what
made
I
a
was really
syrup,
fearful about
more or
the one
less.
I did.
So you've got no scobelometer?
I don't.
Scobles?
Ouch.
There's not one at Texas
You,
Brewing Inc.
you English son of a bitch.
Anyway,
that was I thought was one of the most impressive things about that Mexican hot chocolate one that Chris did, in that was the first time he ever brewed that beer, and he put would you put 3 different chilies in that?
3 different, yeah.
Yeah, and it was really well done.
Yeah, that was-
I would have guessed you had brewed that at least 2 or 3 times to get it like that. That was
I just
Oh,
got
you
lucky.
know, speaking
that
of
one.
which, are we supposed to do a drawing tonight for our Patreon listeners?
yeah,
yeah.
we missed.
Yeah, it's
we,
on there.
we missed out on that. That's what
I don't know where
pointing out
I
to
don't
you
know where the
earlier.
bag of names.
it's behind you.
I saw it.
Okay, you saw it.
Oh,
Justin's
sorry.
got it.
Justin's got it.
Justin's got it.
All right.
So we're moving into the 2 most anticipated beers I know about for this evening. Greg's Goza that we drank the base of, the base style of earlier.
Again,
It'll
just
drink
salt
your
and
base
coriander,
off.
easy.
Before we do this, let's do our coupon codes and our drawing.
What is the
Alrighty.
coupon
From that.
code for tonight? I don't even know.
You know, Austin never got back to us on that, so
That sounds
Yeah.
about right.
So you decide now, and we'll make sure
Ah.
it happens on Monday.
Well, let's do this.
Half
Let's
off
do-
Grainfathers.
Yes.
Or
Maybe we can do since we're doing like quick sour stuff, one of the things that I know a lot of guys use is the Omega, what is it, lactobacillus blend?
right.
Is that right?
Yeah.
There you go.
All
Maybe
the breads?
yeah, no,
No,
lacto.
it's called lacto
They
blend.
got lacto
Okay,
blend.
lacto blend.
Yeah.
And maybe we could do $2 off of that for to give people
That's a good one.
opportunity to
There you go.
try that out. I mean, we're not making any money on it, but
Yeah.
at that point, but at least you can give Omega Yeast a shot. See, I'm repping for them tonight. They
You
gave me
gotta
one of
stand
these
up,
cool
dude.
kick-ass T-shirts.
yeah, I dig those shirts.
They
man.
are great shirts.
Yeah.
But they those guys make some great yeast, so give those guys a shot.
Yeah,
And
we
the
went and
coupon
fanboyed
code-
all
the-
over them at NHC. I don't think they were prepared for us to go over there and drool all over them.
And,
You guys really like us.
What is the name of the? Oh, the key phrase is what?
Hang on.
No.
So what's the coupon code?
Summer sourpuss.
Okay.
This coupon code is Summer Sour Puss. One word.
SOUR.
Is that one S or two?
PUSS.
Okay,
that's
thank you.
That's 4 S's.
Heavens to Murgatroyd.
This is
Now we have to pick prizes for our next two.
Yeah.
Our drawing, our monthly drawing, and our listener prize.
Oh,
The
okay.
Patreon listener prize.
Patreon,
The
listen
Julia-
in and win
the
prize.
Patreon. I think everybody likes the gift certificates, don't you think?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
So let's do a $20 gift certificate for our Patreon listener.
please be
Listen in and win
please be-
prize. The
please-
key phrase is
Indigestion.
Seems very appropriate for
And
tonight.
for that, you get a free.
Did you say-
Let's
you
come
say-
and brew a T-shirt.
come and brew a T-shirt for that one.
Ooh.
Not the
Yeah.
the other ones. Okay.
This
Okay.
type?
Yeah,
Right,
just
once-
like what Nigel's wearing there.
Yeah.
Boom,
Perfect
boom.
for your spilled beer parties.
So the listen in and win prize. If you go out
What
there
are you
on
trying to say?
Patreon right now, patrons is the key phrase is indigestion.
One
So,
more time.
but whoever gets there first with
No,
that one
not
gets
for
a
the
come and brew
camera.
a T-shirt.
Usually they're within 2 or 3 minutes.
Yeah, they're probably already there.
Yeah.
Now we're gonna do a July patron prize drawing. It's the end of every month version. So
What do you got?
I have.
Got?
Let's do a $25 gift certificate.
Oh,
Uh,
up in the stakes.
$25.
That's a good one.
So here's a baggie of weed.
Are you asking me
Greg?
for
I
something?
mean,
Pen,
a
please.
baggie of patron
Read it.
names.
read it, Nigel.
Eric Ramirez.
Hey, Eric Ramirez.
Ramirez.
So close.
Awesome. So,
That was
Eric,
so
we're going to be sending you a T-shirt, brother. Thanks for your patronage.
No,
No,
he
he
got
gets
the
a
gift
gift
certificate.
Oh, the $25 gift
Yes.
certificate.
So
Sorry.
that'll be added to his account, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'll be added to his
Yep,
account online.
Remember, if you want to win a gift certificate like that, get on Patreon and,
Yeah, and you
become
also
a
get
supporter,
cool
and you'll be
swag.
eligible.
Yeah, thanks for your support, Eric. Appreciate it, guy.
Yes, definitely.
You're welcome.
Not
Pay
you.
for our safe rides home and our a good portion of our content beer.
Content beer, and we had fun in Portland due to
Yes, we
some,
did.
Yeah.
patrons. So that was awesome. But anyway, if it's
that
not for, if it
everything,
wasn't
Greg?
for you guys out there donating to the show, we probably wouldn't do this anymore. So it really helps us keep the show going, and really helps us do some of the things that we're not ordinarily would not be able to do. So make sure to go out there and donate to the show, so we can get home safe. Ubers, you can start out is less than buying us a beer a month. If you enjoy the show, and you enjoy, if you're learning anything, or you just like to hear us do fart and dick jokes, buy us a beer, one beer a month. That's all you
guarantee
need.
That if you saw us in a bar, you'd buy us a beer. We're that handsome.
Yes, I think so.
So
No,
just
they've seen
pretend-
us, so you're
just
wrong
pretend.
about that already. They know better. They're not just listening to you.
Yeah, we were having a hard time fighting
why-
off the crowds in Portland.
why we
you
hide.
know, and
It's
I mean,
either
it-
buy us a,
Behind the
it's either
mic.
buy us a beer or
Through the
kick us in the
crowds.
balls. One of the two.
And we'll take the money either way, right?
But
Exactly.
anyhow, where are we at? So now we're drinking. what
I guess we could talk about other styles other than the quick sour stuff.
Just
So-
summer styles in general. We picked those because there's such a range that you could apply to it. With
Well, we really
additions,
haven't done
which
that.
are fantastic for summer. And then when you get beyond that, I mean, there's the golden style too that fits it without adding any kind of salt or anything.
Well,
or-
for me,
more
when
malt
it comes
character.
to summer styles, what I look for is low
Was the
ABV,
Nigel Golden Showers.
quick.
Nigel's golden showers.
No,
Didn't we do that last time?
yes.
I didn't do that. I don't know what y'all are talking about.
That must have been after the podcast.
I guess I caught my Uber too early. Huh?
But I think that, man, there's so many other versions that you're looking for light and easygoing things.
Well, for me,
if
what
you're gonna
I
make a
look for
lager, you
is
got to do it before
quick
summer.
turnaround.
Yeah,
because this is the time of year when it gets to where I don't brew as much because it's so hot, and also you're
and you drink a
taking
lot more.
family vacations and stuff like that, and summer you get caught up doing other things, and so it always tends to be that you're taps start to run dry.
And then I could tell you this from the trend of just being in the homebrew industry for so long now that one of the things that I notice in the summertime, people don't brew, but it doesn't mean that people aren't involved in home brewing. It seems like people are outfitting their kegerators.
Mm-hmm.
They're buying parts, and they're buying or fixing up their brew system, getting it ready for brewing season when it cools off a little bit. So it's really, those are all things that you can do in the summertime and not have to necessarily stand over a boiling pot of water or beer, and not even have to turn the propane on. But
where's the fun in that?
I don't know, man.
That's the part is the misery of the summer brewing.
Yeah,
I mean, you
yeah,
got to
yeah.
make it easier on yourself.
Well,
Hell, I
you know,
bought
I
a
mean, we were-
evaporative cooler to make the garage better when it was 110 out that day that last time I brewed with Nigel. And he
actually
didn't
only
melt.
He actually only did that so I didn't die.
yeah.
Yeah, because usually
That was it.
he looks like he starts to melt when it gets to about the 95 range.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
you know.
I've seen him one time, man. He looked like he burst into flames.
That's what happens.
Yeah.
But Greg has now spent some cash, so that never happens anymore.
Well, if I remember right, there was a Facebook post recently where you were chiding your English or your friend still in England for complaining about 80-degree temperatures.
Well, I can do
over
that when
there.
I've got air conditioning.
Right, but weren't they saying that 80 degrees over there was like scorching hot?
But
and
they
were all
have no.
dying
But
and-
they have no air conditioning, and it actually got up to about 95 over there. To be fair,
Okay,
so it was 95. No,
I'm
air
just
conditioning.
quoting you, man. I don't know.
I know, but I mean it was
because they were saying it's 20 Celsius.
well, it would have been
Isn't that like
it would have been
68?
yeah, it would have been 30 something.
Okay,
but
my
yeah,
bad.
but yeah, no, I mean when I can show a picture that says 114 Fahrenheit, I mean that just
Which would be about 42 Celsius.
ish.
Yeah.
Give or take.
Jeez, whoa! Look
Yeah.
at the brain.
Look at the big brain on Brett.
All right.
That's right, the metric system.
That's not bad.
So what else are we doing?
I think we're done, man.
We have a lot of beer to drink, but I
Well,
don't know
that's
if it's
gonna
going to
happen.
happen.
That's gonna happen.
Yes.
Now.
My head hurts.
And your stomach.
My head finally feels good. My head's been hurting all day. I actually finally feel all right. Maybe when I stand up, it'll be different. But at this particular moment, I feel better than I've felt all day. So that's good. It was probably that key lime beer. Just makes me happy.
Don't peek just yet.
Well, there's a couple bottles of water around. You just drink a little bit of water, hydrate.
Yeah.
Oh, no way. That'll
not sure
reset the whole clock.
If we totally answered the question before, hopefully we did for our listener that wanted to hear about, Berliner Weiss and whatnot. I mean, if traditionally it would be like long-term lactobacillus souring with probably a hint of Brett, the Goza was going to probably the same kind of concept, but a little stronger, but no Brett. And then, man, going from there, it's like I just focusing on what this time of year is I'd rather play with these styles because the base style's good, but man, I like adding shit to it to get it better, and that's what they do in Germany too. Is they'll add the syrup and whatnot. With juice, right?
And the too short brew days helps with the heat as well.
Yeah, it does. Because then you're just like 2 days later, I'm going to have a quick boil and be done with it and clean up and get out of there,
When we do this blog, can we post some of the recipes?
Yeah, we should have them. They're
Yeah, I think
basic
that'd be
and
great.
Very,
straightforward.
very simple recipes, right?
Yep.
So we had a.
We try to write something up about all of it,
Right.
the whole process from the
So
Martin
I had a
house.
suggestion from one of our Patreons that maybe if we can maybe get ahead of the curve a little bit, if we know what maybe not all of
Like
them,
start
but
talking about fall now.
no, but maybe having a list of the beers that we're going to be drinking, so they can maybe go out and purchase
Try
them
'em.
and drink them
That's a
along
good
with
idea.
us.
Yeah,
Not
it's a
only
good
is that
idea.
a good idea, it's the
Something
likelihood
we've
of
been
that
asking about.
happening is.
Well, I know
They're
that, but I'm
asking
just
a
saying,
lot of us.
I'm not just saying. I'm just saying that not maybe not everything or everything we bring, but there may be 2 or 3 feature beers that we may be drinking.
Tonight we had a lot of beer and we didn't really talk about a lot of it. So
Right. So, but anyway, I
But
think that would be kind of fun.
Maybe that's something we can also put into retrospect as well, so that they can listen.
Well, especially if we do like a style
they-
hour,
right. Listen. They can now listen for
yeah,
tonight.
Which I think we should do some more style hours.
Don't
We haven't
consider
done that
this
for
a
while.
style hour.
No.
It's not a good one.
Belgian
Even the
Dark
beers that
Strong.
we have right now, like we could have done
let's do
Goza
that
style
again.
hour, but We had no straightforward Goza anything. Every single
No,
one
no.
that you can buy here has something else added to
Yeah.
it.
Right.
And the Berliner Weiss is more or less the same way.
Yeah.
Right.
So, more or less.
I
yeah.
thought Berliner Weiss.
Have
and
we ever
Goza
had an
were both,
imperial stout night?
Yes.
We have.
Maybe we
Yeah.
should revisit that for
It
a
was
colder
that
day.
it was that good you can't remember it.
Yeah. That's sort
I'll
of like
bring
the
the
dark strain,
cocytus.
the quads.
Or whatever
Oh
it is.
God, quads. Let's never talk about that again. Thank you.
We did that.
The cocytus.
No, we need to do like one quad episode a quarter.
I mean, if we
Well,
could,
that's the thing is if we tell them ahead of time what we're going to drink and they drink along with us, they won't remember it just like we don't remember it.
Stubby
And we
can't
can do
afford
it again in 3 months, and it'll be like it's the first time we
just
did it
like
again.
Hollywood.
Yeah.
Yay! It's so
We
easy.
we can bring out the blue drink.
Oh,
God,
And if
no.
we're gonna do a
Blue
blue drink
drink.
episode, I mean, I got a recipe.
Anyway,
Uh,
inside joke. But anyhow, so is that
So-
it for us tonight?
Yeah, I guess
That's it
so.
for me, man. I'm done.
Future episodes, we're going to have
I've
a
got some
discussion
Brolets.
with. Here's something that hopefully some of you will find interesting. We should be having a discussion
ROLEIDS.
with the executive director of the Texas Craft Brewers Guild about some of what they're working toward to improve the environment for brewers in our state. Mikey's going to be back in studio, and he's going to bring some of his sours.
I
For
don't
the,
believe it until you
the
see
next
Believe
two
that when I
shows,
see
he's
it,
supposed to
yep.
show up.
Hey, it's Mikey.
And hopefully we're going to be working on some more experiment results in the near future, kind of like these were. These were experiments a lot of ways. And we also, at some point, we need to draw again for the guys who've already brewed our flavor experiment beers and get another one out
Some
here.
of us still need to brew their beer.
Some of us.
You mean
do.
one of us?
Yeah.
When you
I
say
I
some,
see
to,
two
one.
sitting here right now. That
I need to
have-
rebrew mine.
Well.
I need to perfect mine. I think I'm onto something with it. And
Since I did, what the hell is that?
I don't
noise?
know.
It's Eric.
Just get ready for your outros.
he's in there
There's some
playing
lo-fi.
around.
I'm giving you a bed of
He's like-
music
he's
to
like-
go on an outro.
Do you
Oh,
want to
he's
read
doing
it
some
without
scratching.
using the social
Do
media
I want to
thing?
read it?
Sure.
So you can say that you didn't
No,
slur the.
I got to tell you tonight. I really don't want to read it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Again,
Well-
please be sure to check out our Patreon account at patreon.com/Come and Brew It Radio to help support the show. We have $2, $5, $10, and $20 options because every little bit counts.
Sounds like a saw in the
Plus, we want to reward you while you help keep the show going, get involved, and improve it. In fact, we're literally going to reward a lucky Patreon listener with every live show and have a random drawing at the name from our names of every $5, $10, and $20 patrons for a prize at the end of every month. Just have to be a patron. Thanks again for listening to Come and Brew It Radio.
All symbol.
Be sure to
bands?
share with your friends on social media, give us some ratings on iTunes and Stitcher, and send any ideas or comments to info@texasbrewinginc.com. Somebody killed Nigel. Also,
Look at the window, man. This fucking dipshit.
Keep going.
you
keep
you
going,
can also
keep going.
check in on the Brew Days of the Guys at the Brew Focus Facebook pages at Brew with Stubby, at Brew with Brando, at Brew with Mikey B, at Brew with Chris, at Brew with Greg, and at Brew with Nigel. Thanks for listening again tonight, guys.
And-
Come and brew it.
Come and brew it.
Lo-fi styling.
Technology here, right?
I mean, I didn't get to mention that I was look forward to the additions
is this
to
the
the
boobies?
Camperator.
Addition to the
boobles?
camper, you changed some things, huh?
I'm gonna I'm
future.
introducing a little bit more stuff to it. I'm gonna add a paintball CO2 tank to it with a lower end regulator, and then run actual piping to all three kegs. Well, that's a long list, Nigel.
I don't know what's happening right now.
You got the extreme close up on your neck, dude. I know. I can do it. Oh, geez.